All right, welcome everybody to the second, and I repeat, second episode of the BWG podcast, which I guess doubles our record from our previous podcast. So, Waters, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You hanging out?
Twice as many episodes.
I know, and finally we have our first guest, John Hedrick.
All right, and that's it. That's episode 2.
That's the end of it.
So welcome, John, the up and coming stand-up comic in the DC scene. Is that what you want to go by, or you just want to go by just good old Jonesy Caponesy?
Jonesy Caponesy might be the better name for that.
Is that your stage name?
No, absolutely not. Stage names are stupid. Totally
wow, that's a hot
no-go
take.
zone.
Do people really have stage names?
I don't think so anymore.
Oh, not
Wait,
yeah,
really?
not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my friend Jenny that I run the club with down in College Park, she read a book by Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart had a stage name at first, and then that's a big no-no now, because as you're getting more involved in the game and stuff, you develop a brand, and you don't want a stupid stage name to be your brand, so you just want to stick with your regular name. And his stage name was Lil Kev or something like that. And
So not that far off, but you want your full name out there. Do you have all the social media?
But what if you
up?
liked your stage name then? If that was, so you would you just become branded as your stage name, right?
Yeah. But
I
if
guess,
you want to, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I guess that would get in the way if you ever wanted to switch out of comedy.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. If you want to grow out of or grow as a person, it's kind of hard because you're limited by your stage name. Larry the Cable Guy, I don't think that dude's ever gonna.
No, he's
change.
never doing anything that's not. Yeah, and I mean, even Ludacris, right? He's in Fast and Furious now, but he's still Ludacris.
Is he really
right.
in Fast and Furious?
Yeah, isn't he?
He's in all of them.
Yeah, right. He's one of the main guys.
Dude, to be honest, I've never seen that.
I've never seen
the first time I heard of, who was the guy? Was it Paul Walker? Was he the one that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was the first time I ever heard of him. Was when he died in a car crash.
That's terrible.
I know. I had no idea anything about
Dude,
it.
that's actually. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we should pick up the tone of.
Let's get to our topics.
So before, I guess, starting this podcast, we were talking about some podcast ideas, and John thought a good intro would be talking about app ideas if we have any, and Waters and I really don't have any. But John,
what is the point of me?
So John, we're on the hot seat. What's your app idea?
All right, so I use Google Maps a lot to track traffic, and just to see how long it takes with different routes. But the thing is Google Maps picks the worst routes. And I was just thinking, what if there's an app where I can just draw the route I want to take? Because I know how to read a map. Some people don't know how to do that, but just draw the route I want to take, and then it tells me how long it takes, and see if it's faster than the stupid routes Google Maps is taking. And that's it. That's that.
And that's
that
it.
actually
So
that sounds like a good idea, except I cannot read a map, and I imagine a lot of the population is in the same boat.
Funny enough, I mean, not to put this girl on blast, but at work today, this girl, we were talking about getting into the office, and I was like, oh yeah, you hit a lot of traffic on 95 North, because I was on that too. She's like, I to be honest, I have no idea what way I was going. She didn't know.
Yeah.
Some people are just have no idea.
No, it amazes me. I could start naming highways and stuff, and they're like, I just go where there aren't lights, and I'm like, what do you? How do you get around?
People are just really.
My friend Wes, for a really long time in high school and stuff, he couldn't drive without his GPS. Even on roads he had gone a million times, he just didn't know the road names and stuff.
I think Ryan is like that too.
Yeah, we have one of our friends is like that. That he needs his GPS. If he's out of his 10-mile comfort radius of his house, then all bets are off.
Oh,
God.
that.
He's super reliant on that. So that's right. You can, but John, you can kind of do that on on the the computer version of Google Maps, you can you can drag and drop a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to take a specific road, you can do that.
Okay, well then
so maybe
just
not.
write a very strongly worded email to Google to add that to their phone app.
So you just want that feature on the app, just to drag and drop and create your own.
Yeah, dude. I'd be drawing up the fastest routes.
John,
Maybe you could get a job as like a route mapper for Google. You know?
Oh shit.
There you go. So if so I guess that's a good segue. So if stand-up comedy doesn't work for you, you know what you're doing.
I know my plan B.
So tell us what, like, when did you get into stand-up comedy? Because is that what you want to do? You want to be a stand-up comic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the main thing I want to do right now. I mean, I have like backup plans, obviously, but yeah, stand-up comedy. I really started pursuing it this last semester when I started living down in College Park. But I guess my first little taste of it was when I hosted Mr. HHS, which is like how would you describe it?
It's like a skit.
It's like a talent show, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's more just like skits. I don't know. A variety show. I don't think those are really a thing anymore. But I like back in the I don't know, 50s or something like that, 60s, 70s.
I think it was like the 80s.
Yeah, okay. I think it's just kind of like a variety. Yeah, maybe I went a little too far back on that one, but like a variety show where, I don't know, people had different skits and stuff like that. So John hosted that in our senior year of high school.
Oh, so yeah, I think my friend like did a skit, not for your senior year.
Dude,
but...
you know who his friend is?
Who?
Remember that kid Noah?
Noah.
Yeah, he was in our what was when we took it? What math class did we have together?
Fuck.
Was
Was it algebra?
No, it was with Miss
Geometry?
Dickey. What was that one?
Miss Dickey?
Yeah.
Discrete math?
No, but the one before that.
Pre-calc.
That wasn't pre-calc, dude.
I had Miss Dickey for pre-calc.
That's pre-calc? Okay, I guess pre-calc. Remember that kid Noah that sat behind us, who you thought was really funny, and because he did something with Mr. HHS.
I'm totally blanking on who Noah is. Was he like really weird? No. Are you talking about Taylor? What is he? I thought Taylor Webb was really funny.
He has a really big nose.
What's his?
And he's kind of short. His last name is Orion. It's an Irish guy.
I'm gonna lose my mind when I see him. I can.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
so they're friends. Real's
I am
friends
friends
with
with somebody who was involved in Mr. HHS. So
Was he a year older than us?
Yes.
Yeah, he was
okay,
older
he's a
than you
year
guys.
older than us.
I think he was 2 years older than you guys.
Yeah, I think 2 years older.
But yeah, no. Anyway, so you said you like it was moving over to College Park that like got you started. Were you like into it before and just like you couldn't, and now that you're like in the area, it's easier, or what?
Yeah, it's totally that. Like so like after like hosting that, like a lot of people came up to me and was like, you definitely need to do something where you're on the stage, like, or like a late night talk show host or something. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like I would love to do stand-up comedy. I've always wanted to try it. And then I was like scared for like 2 years. And I don't know if like other people experience this, but like the first 2 years of college, I feel like are just one of the most insecure and like most developmental times. So like I didn't know what I was doing until like I really got to College Park. And when I did get to College Park and when I was living on campus, that like gave me access to a bunch of like open mics that are near campus. Like on Route 1, there are a bunch of like shops, or not really shops, but like, I don't even know, like food restaurants and stuff that do open mics at least like once a week. And then the clubs around campus like do the same thing, and I would just crash all the open mics this last semester.
Wait, so
how many shows have you done? Like I guess like on open mics or whatever.
I don't know, probably around like 20.
Nice.
So do you feel more comfortable doing them now than like how did you feel during your first like open mic?
I actually didn't go to. My first time doing comedy was at the show that my club ran. The first one that we...
Really? That was your first time?
That was my first time doing comedy. That's why the set's so bad. It was so cringeworthy, like, watching it back. But, Yeah, that was pretty nerve-wracking because we sold out our first show. We had 200 people show up for some reason.
Dude, that's awful. I have such stage fright. I don't think I would just not go out.
Yeah, no, it was really scary, and we were in a really small room, and people couldn't really hear anything. But I don't know. People came to the second one that we did, which was pretty dope.
Wait, so your first show though was a sellout. Like you showed it. That's like pretty incredible. Most people, it's like 6 people and like their parents. But
yeah.
Are you just like really popular or?
So I have to give a lot of credit to Jenny, who, like I said earlier, like helps run. I help her run the club. She's like the main person.
John's part of there's a University of Maryland stand-up comedy club. That just started. Did you guys start it?
We started it in January because there's no stand-up comedy club at Maryland, surprisingly. They have like skit clubs, improv clubs, poetry clubs, and like no one strictly does stand-up. So we were like, Jenny and I like met up and we were like, all right, we're doing this. And we made it happen. And then Jenny contacted Milk Boy Art House, which is a venue we use. And like she set it up, and that all happened in like a week. And then she's really smart too. So she was like, if we're going to bring people out to our show, we're going to advertise the mess out of it. So she printed like full page flyers, mini flyers, and we would just go out and hand it to people and hang them up wherever. And we would tell everyone involved. And we actually would go to other clubs like open mics or like improv shows and hand out flyers there because those people there are interested in comedy. And then that's how we brought in so many people.
Yeah, you guys killed it. So like I went to that show, and I mean, how many people do you think had to be turned down? Like
at least 60.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably like 60 or 70 people. Like were like they had to be turned down. Like you guys had a pretty good like Facebook page too going for that.
Yeah.
You had a lot of people like interested, and you guys like did a really great job of marketing it. And then unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the second one. But were people turned down for the second one?
The second one, I think maybe. So
I guess you guys got a bigger room for the second one.
We got a bigger room, and the room can fit 500 people standing. But we got chairs instead. So there was about 260 chairs, and we capped off at 300. Because we were not going to because the first time, so what happened is we crammed 200 people in a room that was really for like 60. So it was just unbearable. And we were not going to do that at the second show, so we just capped off at 300. So that was, and so how nervous were you when you went up for the first time? The first time I was really nervous, and I had like cotton mouth. I was drinking so much water, and then I had to pee, and then I couldn't pee because it was time for me to go. And then I was like, I hope everyone thinks my set's funny. I had a suicide joke in the middle of my set, and
I thought that was the funniest joke. You really should check it out. You could, if they just search like John Hedrick.
Yeah, if you
Milk Boy something.
Yeah, if you.
It's a really funny. It was by far I thought it was the funniest joke.
Is it just the joke or like the whole set I can find if I search it?
You can find the whole set online if you just type in
awesome.
John Hedrick, Milk Boy Art House. I think it was, I don't know if the date's in the title, but if you just type that in, you'll find it. And I'm wearing a striped sweater.
Looking like a perfect rising an up and coming stand up comic in that.
Thanks.
I think you did a great job. So like, do you have any like role models or idols that like? Because I like whenever you like do something for the first time, I at least when I've experienced this is like you try to like model yourself after whatever person or like you try to model yourself after like the person that you like got you into it.
Yeah.
So like, have you found, because obviously that's like you can't be stealing people's jokes in stand-up comedy, but like do you find that you like model yourself after a certain person and is that too much? Or like, or do you think you're like finding your own voice yet? Because I feel like it would take a really long time, especially in stand-up, to like find your own voice.
Yeah, and it's just so hard to get stage time in general. But the person I model myself after would be maybe like my brother. I think my brother's delivery and like how he talks and stuff is really funny, and a lot of how I talk is even I guess reflective of his personality in a way. But as for like a big comedian, it would definitely be like Dave Chappelle or Tom Segura, because they're very, maybe not Dave Chappelle, but Tom Segura is definitely like rude to the audience.
And you like that?
And I like that because the audience doesn't expect that. And some other comedian was saying that on this video I was watching, and he was like, it's really big in Europe, stand-up comedy, European stand-up comedy, that you kind of are rude to the audience and the audience plays into that. Whereas like American stand-up comedy, you have to win over the audience and be like really nice in order to get them to laugh. But Tom Segura like doesn't really give a shit about that, and he's kind of disrespectful to the audience, but not like too much. And the audience knows that it's like a joke.
Yeah.
Like, also like Louis C.K. would do that too, but I don't know how I feel about Louis C.K. anymore. It's pretty gross stuff that he does.
Yeah. Well, should we transition to the PC culture and stand-up comedy?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So Waters, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you do like stand up in the in the area. So I was wondering, like, what do you think about like the whole, like, does it affect you at all, and what do you think in general about like PC stuff? Like, obviously stuff like Louis C.K., that's, you know, that's probably not cool, but how do you feel about like the changes to comedy because of PC stuff?
I don't know. I think it's a big gray area for me, at least. It's like I've definitely changed like what I would joke about, like even in like person, not even with stand-up comedy in the last, I'd say, even year or so. And if anything, it kind of makes comedy a little bit better. It makes people think more creatively, because I mean, like with like stereotypical jokes, I just don't find them funny anymore because they've just been so played out. Like I'm half Chinese, so like making jokes about like eating rice or like being good at math or like stupid stuff like that, it's just not like funny because it's so predictable. Like I watched this set of this one Asian woman, and all she did was talk about how like funny like nail salons are because it's usually run by like Vietnamese people, and it just wasn't funny.
That just doesn't do it.
Yeah, it was just like that's like.
But I mean,
everyone's done that joke already.
I mean, do you think? But I feel like you can have like a racially charged joke or something that's funny and isn't just like a crap stereotype joke, right?
Yeah.
Because I like agree. Like I used to, when I was like in middle school, I really liked Carlos Mencia, and I actually just recently went back and like watched like a set of his. I was like, holy shit! Like every joke in here is just like, you like know the punchline before he even starts the joke. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's never funny, and it kind of like, I guess my tastes have changed because it's like they actually bother me. I used to not get like offended at all, but now it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it starts to, I guess like bad jokes offend me and good jokes don't.
Yeah. And that was I practiced my set in front of some club members for my very first set where that suicide joke is in it, and I asked him afterwards, I was like, hey, like, should I do that? And one of my club members said gave me really good advice. He was like, you shouldn't change a joke because it's offensive, but definitely change it because it's not funny. And he was like, that joke's funny. It's fucked up, but it's funny, so it'll work. And I think that's good advice, but also like, don't take it too far. And another thing is I was from the book Your Mom Got Me, the comedy tips writing book. The first thing they tell you is know your audience. So like if you're gonna go up on stage just throwing out these awful like racial jokes to an audience of like PC college students, then obviously it's not gonna work, and you should know that before you even go on stage. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And
yeah, but I mean, like, I'd say like know your audience, but I think part of the problem too is like it's hard to know your audience like nowadays, right? Like, I feel like you
Yeah.
have to, like, I mean, you can know, like, who you're telling it to, but with, like, social media and stuff, your audience is kind of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
so
Like
should you
it's
just always, like, be, like, pretty hold back, I guess? Um,
yeah.
but I don't know if I'd like that. I mean, like, me personally, I have a little bit higher, like, bar for what I consider offensive than, like, most people.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, like, how about, like, for you, like, what's your, because you said you were, like, gray on it. What's your, it sounds like you're just pretty cool with it. What's your gray? What makes it?
I don't know. I think it's like there's Bill Burr is kind of like a good example. He's a comedian that I don't know how to. I mean, first of all, his comedy is just very anger driven. It sounds like he's yelling most of the time, and he kind of says like some, I wouldn't say like super offensive things, but like borderline, and because of that, that's a part of his brand, and he attracts a certain audience because of it.
Yeah,
So
that's true, because you don't really hear a lot. Like, Bill Burr has some jokes that I feel like would probably come up as, like, you know, baby B. He's like jokes, like the joke about beating women sticks out to me, where he talks, you know what I mean, like the you know, what is it, like, that she's not, like, completely innocent or whatever, like she
yeah,
probably instigated it, and it's like a funny joke. I could see that, like, sparking controversy, but at least I haven't seen it do that.
yeah, totally. And
So
I think why I say it's a gray area is because like you're kind of right in a sense where it's like, yeah, like comedians shouldn't hold back, but also like, you know, if they're going to be doing that borderline offensive stuff, me personally, I won't like it, but maybe someone else will like it, and they'll start to gear towards that comedian. So it's like natural selection at that point.
yeah, but I mean, it's
Survival
kind
of
of
the
like a
fittest.
value judgment though, right? Because, like, if somebody's super, like, racy or whatever, even if, like, there's like a period where they're gonna be building the audience, or they say something and, like, it like offends somebody and bothers someone, like if you make like a rape joke and a rape victim hears it, you know, there's a chance you like hurt them, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
is that like worth the joke?
Yeah. For me, I don't think so, not at all, but it's really dependent on the comedian at that point. And some comedians are kind of psychopaths and don't have any empathy and they totally go on stage saying like, I don't give a shit, like I'm going to say what I want to say. And I don't know. It's just me, I couldn't do that because I like think too much about the audience, but other people, you know, they're really down for that. I don't know what to say.
So do you think that advice of, like, that your buddy gave you when you were asking about the suicide joke, do you think that would be good advice to somebody like that? You know, like the don't change your joke because you're worried about offending people. Do you think, like, people who have, like, pretty, like no filter,
Yeah.
do you think they should maybe think about it, or no?
I think they should think about it. And like I said, the audience is the most important aspect of it. And you definitely take that my club members' advice for sure, but also factor in who your audience is at the same time and how they might take it. And I don't know, when delivering that suicide joke, I feel like UMD students are kind of like aware of their depression because they're very stressed and overworked. So like, I don't know. I guess it could have been pretty fucked up to some people, but most people took it pretty well. And I don't know. I feel like that's a big like meme nowadays, is like being very depressed and like suicidal. You know what I mean?
I feel like, yeah, that's, oh man, I mean, this wasn't supposed to be a topic, but, like, yeah, that's a thing that I feel like everybody I know, like, nowadays says, like, they're depressed, or, you know, like, I feel like it's almost become, you know, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to, like, mental health shame, because obviously it's real, but it's like kind of become like there are people who just are kind of proud of, like, having been depressed and stuff, and
yeah, and fuck those people. That's lame as shit. Like they're totally hopping on. And no, I had a conversation about this with a couple of friends, and Yeah, like I said, like being depressed is kind of becoming a fad when it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's chic. And I want to be clear, like, there are people who are depressed, and there are people who are like depressed but not necessarily clinically depressed, but still have like a lot of those feelings.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
like that's real, that's serious, and like I don't want to like trivialize that. But yeah, like, you know, people who and I guess sometimes you could argue it helps for like people who have bipolar or something, being able to like wear it as a badge of honor might make it a little easier. But yeah, I've always found it weird because I remember like when I was a kid, I used to think it was so cool to be like suicidal or depressed, like in middle school and shit. You like,
dude, same here. I wanted to be like an emo kid.
Yeah, you want to be edgy. You like, yeah.
Why?
And wait, you didn't do that, Nick?
No, I didn't do
what?
that.
Wow.
Nick's a square, man.
I guess I am a square.
Yeah,
but
fuck.
I'm
Holy
okay
shit.
with that.
You were like never in middle school or whatever. Like,
No,
man,
dude,
I wish I was, you know, sad like Kurt Cobain or something. You never did that, like.
No, that whole like cutting yourself in middle
Well,
school.
I'm not saying I cut myself. I'm not. Like,
But
I
you're
wasn't
saying that-
depressed.
but-
I just
but
thought
you're
it was
saying that you-
cool. I would
Yeah,
be
but
like,
you're
man, I'm edgy and sad.
But that's why
like,
people did it.
Yeah, and that's lame. And then like people should not do that. And
yeah, I
it's
agree. Like,
a
I think
huge
it's,
bummer.
I think it's like a huge like, but it's at the same time it's hard to like say anything about it because you don't want like somebody who is depressed to be like, you know, like afraid to be like sort of
You don't want to
open
negate,
about it because of
negate
like
the
people
actual
who.
depression. Well, it really just boils down to people just overuse the term.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh,
also true.
Yeah, literally just like you're depressed if you get broken up with, you know?
Well,
Like,
yeah. It's like, okay, you like people have bad days. That's just the way that it is, all right?
Yeah.
but but you just can't be like, I don't know. Like, I guess I also kind of like feel that way with like, I don't know, the word rape too. Like that has just been like overused.
Yeah, to an extent. I feel like we need more terminology there.
Yeah.
But I mean, oh man, rape is weird. I used to think it was really funny to make rape jokes, and now I don't. Like,
yeah, no, same.
Now even a good rape joke kind of stresses me out. I'm like, oh, you can't do that,
Totally.
man. Like, what are you
I
doing?
feel the
Stop.
same way.
Like I
think
used to just be like, oh man, that guy really raped me. You know, just like in a game or whatever. And I wouldn't even do that now. Like, it kind of like bothers me.
Yeah, and kind of going back to like comedy and PC culture, I think a large part of why PC culture is having a big effect on comedy is because people have grown out of that. I don't know, because we were in middle school when that type of comedy was big, like making fun of like race jokes and like rape jokes and suicide jokes were all like.
And I think
cool
at
in
that
middle
age,
I don't think it was I think that was every
no,
middle
I think it's like
schooler.
all middle
Yeah,
schoolers though. I
Yeah.
think it's like at that age you're getting that freedom where you're allowed to cuss and you're allowed to watch what you want, but you haven't like developed the empathy that you need to like kind of know the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot harder to laugh at a rape joke if you've seen like a rape victim talk about like how hard it was for them to deal with.
Yeah,
You know,
that
like,
stuff is
it's like not
heavy.
as funny anymore. You like picture them seeing the joke and you're like, ah, that's not
Yeah.
funny. It's actually kind of
awful.
like what a shit thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that's like really, so I think like the PC thing's mostly a good thing. But I'm real big into art, it just in general, and I kind of hate the idea of like limiting an artist, even like
What
a
do you-
bad one.
This is kind of I guess this is a kind of a tangential topic, but what do you guys think about when like specifically colleges, like college kids don't want a certain person to speak at their college?
Oh,
Or,
like they did with Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah,
and,
with like
and
Milo
like Ben Shapiro and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, those are the poster boys for that. But I'm,
Oh,
I'm
man.
sure there's other people. Like how do you feel about that?
This is like my most torn issue because like I hate Milo, and I hate Ben Shapiro, and I hate Richard Spencer. I don't think there's like much of an argument. I don't think he should be allowed to talk. I feel like it's the venue decides, right? And it's the college students are the venue, and if they're protesting and like a vast majority of them don't want that person around, I feel like that like they should be able to like say no, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't-
but also, you know, I don't know, man.
But then like you like isn't that
man.
the? But then there's no discourse, right? Because then you're like you're
Yeah,
not being
but-
exposed to the other side.
I'm okay. So I actually, this is like me. I don't like the central. I don't think you need like exposure to every idea, right? There are some ideas that I think are just kind of bad. Let's say like if I wanted to go onto a campus and start like espousing that stand-up comedy was just the worst shit ever, and it just sucks. And I don't think that like that's an opinion that needs to be heard. And I think if like I don't think you need to be faced with like every opposing opinion. A lot of college students, they're a lot farther left than a Ben Shapiro, and they're way farther left than like Milo. So like his opinion isn't like the next opinion to the right of them. It's much, it's kind of like having a communist come to like a Goldman Sachs meeting. It's not really relevant to them. They're on a completely different wavelength. So I think you could make that argument. Yeah, it's
at that point.
But you don't think it's bad that like kind of just the sheltering to just not like to a point that you don't even want to hear the other side.
And so I do think it's bad, but only because you like forget how to argue against it. Right? Like with I think like with like the racist shit that's like come up lately, people don't remember because we've all been raised just like, yeah, racism is bad. We don't remember how to like defend why racism is bad anymore. We're bad at it now because we've just never been exposed to like, you know what I mean? So I guess it's bad in that regard that you like have a hard time arguing a point against like somebody who has a bad idea. So I don't know. It's like I'm super torn on it. But what about you?
I think if it's a group that can be perceived as like extremists in a way, and like you said, like they're like Ben Shapiro is just so far right
relative to college. He's actually like a pretty standard conservative in America.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like compared to college students, like it just wouldn't work, and it would probably create kind of like a toxic environment in a way.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't really, like, you're not going to change anyone's opinions, and instead you would probably just create more fire than put out something.
Well, I mean, that's like what Milo Yiannopoulos is. He's just he wants to create a reaction and a rise. I mean,
he's
that's
literally a
thing.
provocateur. Like, that's how he makes his money.
Yeah,
like,
and that's stupid. Then don't bring that to my
campus. Yeah, no, Milo's a guy
that.
I have no problem with, right? Like, he's there to ruffle feathers. Ben Shapiro, I think, like, actually has, like, an air of legitimacy to him. So, like, maybe you should let him speak. Right? Like, even if his ideas are super, like, against... and, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, I'm, like, pretty against, like, the whole, like, the phrasing and calling it, like, coddling or whatever, but, you know, and calling it, like, what do you call it? Like,
sheltering?
Like, sheltering, yeah, that's the word. I don't like that phrasing because like I hear it and it flashbacks me to like baby boomers just saying like, you know, you guys are all sheltered, but at the same time it's kind of true, right? Like I think you need to expose yourself to a variety of ideas because the way people become like really shit on either side is usually because they don't have anybody telling them that their ideas are shit.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, is to expose yourself to other ideas, but like I said, like if like if you bring on one of those like super conservative people relative to college students, it's not gonna
no, I don't know, but I don't think
at all.
But I don't think that's bad. I think it's more like it's not whether you're super conservative or like if you're super conservative going into a liberal territory or super liberal going to a conservative. It was just like with Milo, he was just trying to get a rise.
Like I think like the check would be if they're making like a good faith attempt at something, right? Like Milo is there to offend people. Richard Spencer is a Nazi, but like Ben Shapiro, he's literally a Nazi. Like that's
he got punched in the face, for being a Nazi, and then he got like super bummed out. He's like, I've been assaulted.
Yeah, and now he's famous for being a Nazi with like nice hair, I guess. But like no, he's like legit. Like he espouses.
The punching kind of.
Yeah. No, he espouses white nationalist rhetoric. Like I don't think you want that just because that's straight up offensive to like most of your campus.
Yeah.
And then but somebody like Ben Shapiro, I think he's like kind of a dick, I don't agree with him, but he is, I think, at least I don't think he's there just to like make people mad. I think he has like legitimate political
I think he
beliefs
enjoys doing it, but I don't think that's his main
Oh yeah,
goal,
yeah.
like,
He likes like arguing and being smarter than like the smug college kids for sure. But
I think another big problem could be the approach that either person is taking in that argument is I don't think either of them have like a willingness to learn from each other.
But I don't think you can make that happen, right? People are pretty fucking stubborn.
Yeah. And it's kind of ironic that, you know, liberals aren't as open-minded as they should be because they are liberal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Although I don't know if you talk to like the really really far left people, they think liberals are too open-minded. So yeah, like it's one of the big things keeping me from like the far left is they're like really against like even like talking to people who don't agree with you, which like even if they're like only moderately like disagreeing, you know.
Yeah.
Like if somebody agrees with you on everything, but they used to say it, it's like, oh no, like that's like they're out of there. I find that I don't know. I find that hard. Like, didn't everybody used to suck? Like, right? Didn't you have to learn to like have your values?
Yeah, and it's a split community at that point. Some people are very like, oh, you used to say that, that's not okay. Like, I don't want to talk to you ever again. But other people are like, yeah, like you learn and you grow as a person, and like that's cool. That happened with SZA, the singer-songwriter or whatever, and she would kind of like shit on gay people a long time ago, and most of her fans are okay. Well, actually, I don't know that. I'm not gonna say that.
Most of her fans are what? What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say are like gay like
All right, you heard it here first. John says that Sis's fans are all gay.
Is this a John
fact?
Wow.
That is a John fact.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true, but her fans were very upset about it, and she apologized, and she was like, yeah, like I've grown as a person, like please actually there's a big controversy going on in skateboarding right now.
Ooh, skateboarding.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the controversy?
What's the controversy?
So this professional skateboarder who's like a legend, he was big in like the 80s, and
Is it
he's
Tony
still
Hawk?
No, it's not Tony Hawk. It's Jason Jesse, a little bit after Tony Hawk. So it's this guy Jason Jesse, white dude, tattoos, into like motorcycles and stuff, so kind of fits the profile of a Nazi. And that's the controversy. Someone dug up an interview from the 90s, late 90s, where he was just saying just god awful things about black people, and like how he didn't like his mother because she had sex with a black guy, and like there's like photos of him like sporting a swastika on like his jacket and gloves, and he made a board graphic that was just a giant swastika, and people were like, this is not okay. But he came out with an apology video on Instagram soon after the article stuff came up, and the skate community is very split up right now because they don't know if it's like, well, that's not true. The problem with Jason Jesse brings up a new problem that's apparent in the skate culture and kind of in general, because as he like apologized, some people took it as like, all right, it's genuine, he doesn't mean anything bad, whatever, let's move on. But other people were like, this is stupid, and this is a result of PC culture and coddling, and he shouldn't have to apologize for this or whatever. And like all these people came out and were like, yeah, I still sport a swastika, and there's like nothing wrong with that. And it was like, what are you saying? And
it's people like that that's like why I'm so against like saying like this safe space like sheltering is bad, because you hear that and you like it's like easy to agree with, and half the time like they're just straight up like terrible people. Yeah, like holy shit, like how are you gonna defend the use of a swastika?
Yeah, like it doesn't make, like I just can't think of any valid argument. Like it makes zero sense. Like it's literally a party about like eradicating all races that aren't like white. So
Yeah. There's no defense of that, I don't think. Like
Yeah.
the only defense would be like, yeah, he was just like being an edgy piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. And that's not even just PC culture, like it's still lame and bad.
Yeah. And that's where the new problem arises, is those people in skateboarding do not belong, that are defending the use of like swastika and racist ideology.
How big
Because
is
that's-
this like
what's-
group?
What do you mean?
Like how big is this like group of people that are like defending? Because I'd always picture
Oh.
skaters as being like super, like the hippies of today.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would picture them as. But
Yeah, so like that's kind of true, and then also skateboarding takes a lot from like punk culture as well, which is like super hyper.
well, yeah, I always think of
masculinity and-
punks as being like kind of super left leaning.
Yeah, and some people are, some people aren't. I think the people that are defending Jason Jesse are kind of they're just not as exposed to the different parts of skateboarding, and they're kind of just in their close-knit type of scene.
What's the rationale behind defending him?
I don't know. I could find maybe a comment or something on it, but people were just like, this is like...
Are they saying like this is okay, or he has the right to say this?
I think they're
'Cause
saying
those
more
are-
like he shouldn't have to apologize. Like, this isn't a big deal, is what they're saying.
I also want to
Okay,
go,
well-
and I don't think it's a good argument to say like he has the right to say it, because it's not the government that's like stopping him. It's like the public. The freedom
Yeah.
of speech is the government can't stop you, but I feel like people can still tell you to shut the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that argument, if I'm honest. But
Yeah. And I don't know how free speech is very important, but I just think there should be a zero tolerance for racism. Like, why has that been a problem for over 2 centuries? Like, can we move on
it's
from that?
forever. I don't know how I feel about that. Like the whole no racist speech, just because it's hard to say, right? Like in a perfect world, sure, but who's to say like in the future we don't have like a weird opinion? Like it used to be like talking about gayness openly would be considered like completely unacceptable.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that,
No,
like,
I
you know what I
totally
mean?
agree
Like,
that
it's
saying no racist speech is totally infringing on someone's free speech. But what I mean is, like, if you're going to say that stuff, like, be ready for some backlash. Like,
No,
we should
I
not
mean,
be
I don't
like,
think the
this is
government should be able to
okay.
stop you. I think it's like, as a citizen, it's kind of your obligation to, if you see somebody say something you hate, like I'm totally for like reporting their Twitter and calling their sponsors and saying like, yeah, this guy is a fucking Nazi, like get him out of here.
Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, like
that, I back that 100%.
yeah, I'm totally for that. Just like the Roseanne thing, like when she called a black woman an ape on Twitter. Yeah, fucking cancel that show. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Fuck that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit. I don't want her on TV if she's racist.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I want. I guess I wouldn't. I can't tell, but I think we do maybe like a fair job at that, and perhaps maybe we could improve just a little bit. And I don't know.
Like, just as a culture, calling people out when they...
Yeah, I think we've been doing really well actually over like the last year with the sexual harassment scandals and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I've been like really happy with that. Not that it's happening, obviously, but like
Yeah.
I want to be clear. Just like with the way people have, I think it's been like society seems to be pretty like, it's not all in agreement, but a lot more than I would expect. Seem to just very much be like, yeah, let's rally with the victims, like.
And whatever person, their career is just done.
Yeah.
Like I'd expect somebody like Louis, like when you read what he did, you'd expect it to be Louis C.K. I feel like just like 2-3 years ago, I feel like it would be very heavily defended, and he'd be like, he never raped anyone, it's fine. But people seem to be pretty widely in agreement that what he did was not acceptable.
Yeah.
you know?
And that's good. And I think that's kind of a cool change to notice in, like you said, just the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, no, it's nice, man. Especially considering just like, you know, we just elected Trump, you know, so you'd think we rolled back, but I guess not. So
Yep.
yeah, it's kind of cool.
What do you guys think about Bill Cosby? Is that a dumb question?
No.
What about him? I'm actually. Can you bring me up to speed?
60 charges, and they have a website that summarizes all 60 charges. And my coworker and I spent our 4-hour shift together reading them.
All?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I haven't actually looked that much into the charges.
Yeah.
Is it really bad? Well, I mean, it's really bad.
That dude definitely sexually assaulted 60 people. And I would say 50 of them involved either a drug or like something with his penis. The other ones, there were like 10 of them that were like, he like said something dirty to me and like possibly like roped me. So I wouldn't say that would be like a rape.
No,
yeah, that's not a rape.
You just can't. You can't.
No, that's not rape. And I actually kind of hate calling that sexual assault as well. I think we need a better term because I hear sexual assault, I think rape.
Yeah, when I hear sexual assault, I think groping and like inappropriate touching.
See, I hear sexual assault and I think rape. But yeah, like groping, inappropriate touching. Like I don't think that's acceptable. Like I also don't think it's rape. So, but I don't think most people would disagree with that.
Yeah, and another thing is like we're all guys too, so it's definitely.
We it's different for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, the interesting thing about Bill Cosby though, wasn't it like Hannibal Buress that kind of ended up like cracking the lid on a lot of that?
Yeah, I remember
he like
hearing
did a
something
stand-up
about
bit where he was just like, Bill Cosby's a rapist, and the audience kind of giggles. He's like, no, that's not a joke. Look it up. And then it started blowing up.
He got a lot of backfire for that.
Wow.
I don't know if it contributed to people looking into it or not.
I know that's how I heard about it. It was like an article about him telling the joke.
Yeah.
So it definitely brought awareness to it for me. Yeah.
Props to Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy because I know stand-up comedians are really big on like defending each other and like they have like a brotherhood. So I'm sure he got some shit for that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I just wanted to say like Bill Cosby is just insane that there's 60 accounts.
Yeah, literally one of the most prolific rapists of our time was a national television celebrity. So that's kind of crazy.
That's insane. And I think I don't know, how can I say this? I work in Greenbelt where the community is mostly African American, and as my coworker and I were reading the accounts, we would ask, I mean, it's like high school aged kids that are coming into my Greenbelt job. I work at a rec center, and majority of them are African American. We would ask them like, hey, like, what do you think of this whole Bill Cosby scandal? And they're like, he didn't do that. And my coworker, even after reading 60 accounts of what happened, he was like, yeah, like he probably didn't do that. Like this is got to be fake. And I'm like, that's just insane. I'm not saying like it's just kind of wild to think. Like obviously it's not clear cut evidence, but it's 60 people.
I feel like 60 people, and I mean the defaulting to believing the victim, man. I think that's super important, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like you got to do that, even if just like for the sake of like victims not feeling like it's already so hard to come forward.
Yeah.
You don't want. Yeah, I don't know. It's
Dave Chappelle
crazy.
brought up a good point. He was like 60 women. Even if it was half of that, that's still that's still 30 women. That's still insane.
That is really funny.
That's a lot of women. Yeah. Like did that? Like why would they all lie? Like that seems like crazy unlikely.
That doesn't make like there's no way. I can't even get more than 20 people to come to club meetings. You think someone can get 60 women together? Not shitting on women, I'm just saying just people in general, 60 people to come together and like
come out stories. And like say like come up with stories stick to them, and then like also do that while being like berated in the press and stuff. And
Yeah.
no, like that's not. I feel like most people would kind of check out of that, saying
No
no.
way.
You know, and especially like to do that, to bring down Bill fucking Cosby, who wasn't even
Yeah.
like relevant, and when he was pretty just widely liked as like, you know, just like a regular old happy dude. Like that's a tough ask, I think, to get 60 people to
Yeah,
come
totally.
up. Yeah, no.
Anyways, I feel like this podcast is taking kind of a dark turn.
So should we brighten it up a bit?
Yeah, let's. I mean, you guys got this thing priming written here. I don't know if that. Hopefully, that's lighter because it's getting pretty heavy.
A little bit. I don't know. So
It's like educational.
it's educational, I guess.
All right.
Well, I guess I've heard of the term. Probably in psych class, right? That's probably, do we go over it in our high school psychology class? But John, you want to explain what priming is? Or am I putting you on the spot?
Disappointing the whole psych department at College Park. Priming. So it's the idea that if you're exposed to a stimulus, like an idea, it could be a word or a picture, you'll start to think of that concept that you perceive from the stimulus, and then it changes your behavior and thought processes as a result. So like if I look at a water bottle, my body reacts with thinking about drinking water, and then I'm thirsty, and then I drink my water. So that's kind of like priming.
Yeah, so I'm just reading this book. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. But yeah, he was just going in kind of, not really too in depth, but just going over different experiments that have been done with priming. And it's just kind of crazy with just like some of the stuff. So like, for example, one experiment was one group was given like, I don't know, like maybe like $20 or something like that, and then one group wasn't. And they did two different things. One of them, what is it called? Like the person that was like giving the experiment, what are they called again?
Proctor.
I guess, yeah, whatever. The proctor was going into the person that was like, I don't know, that was part of the experiment, and the proctor like dropped like a handful of pencils or something like that. And the people with money didn't pick up as many pencils as the people. Excuse me, the people with money did not pick up as many pencils as the people that didn't have any money. So the people that didn't have any money, they were like willing to help more. And they also, another interesting one was like, it was the same thing like with like a group that had money and then one that didn't. They were asked to like set up two chairs because someone was like coming in, so they're like, okay, put two chairs next to each other so you can talk. And the people that had money put the chairs further apart than the people that didn't have money. Yeah, so it was like, I mean, you get like.
So that's priming?
Well, I mean, that wasn't probably like the best example. Like a better example would be, so like you've like flashed some words on a screen, right?
I just read like so I'm taking social psych online right now,
Okay.
and I just read a whole section on like these types of experiments.
Okay, cool. Well, so what was your? I have one. So what's yours?
Let's tell them both.
Not at
Yeah,
the
let's
same
hear 'em
time.
both. Not at the same time. No, do
you
it at
can
the
go.
same time, and I'll separate it in post. So.
Okay. So what was your experiment?
So it was like what you were saying. Like they took words, they made them do like a word scramble puzzle or whatever, and the control group had neutral words, and the experimental group had old people words like retired or I'm sleepy.
Dude, yeah. I had something kind of similar to that, but continue.
So what they did is after they complete the word scramble puzzle, they take them out of a room and make them walk down a hallway to another room.
That was the same one.
It's the same one.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is the people who had the word scramble puzzles that are related to old people in a way, or just being sleepy or whatever, they walked slower than the people who had neutral words.
And there was also another variation of that where they just had people walking around a room at, I think it was 30 steps per minute, which is like a slow pace. And it was the same thing. So it was kind of like simulating being older. And the time that it took them to like, because the real experiment was to see how fast they walked from one room to another down the hallway. And the people that were walking at a slower pace initially walked slower. And like another like priming thing was like they would like flash a bunch of words, maybe like food oriented, like I don't know, like sandwich, and then like they throw in some neutral words in there too, but then maybe like water or something like that. And they kind of had some like fill in the blank words. So one of them was like SO blank P. And like the people that saw the like the food related words were more likely to fill in soup there compared to like if they didn't see those, like they might be more likely to fill in like the word like soap, which I just thought was
that's really interesting.
Huh. That actually is like, yeah, that's actually
it makes sense and like
no, yeah, I mean it makes sense when
that's,
you hear
that's
it.
exactly what I was like. It really is. I mean, no, not like complete brainwashing.
It kind of is in a way.
And then there was also another one that did. It was like I forget. It was basically one. They asked you to do they asked you to do two things. One thing like was like hold a pencil like between like your like above your lips, and that made you smile. And they asked you to do something else which made you frown. So one person was smiling and the other one was frowning. And like the people that were smiling were just like happier in general. So that's why I've like, I don't know, I've just been on a kick for the past like, I don't know, I'm not really coming. I mean, probably like 6 to 8 months of just really just trying to be just like as positive as possible, and just to be like, if you just surround yourself with like high quality people that like you enjoy being around and they like offer like just objectively just like good things in your life, like that just has to help. There's a
whole field on that.
Are you trying to say you're gonna cut me out?
So that's why I'm saying that John's the new host and you're out.
It took us an hour to break up with you.
You're very yeah.
But I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I always have liked kind of the social science, those type of experiments. Like I always thought is it Zimbardo Stanford?
Yeah, the Stanford experiment.
Yeah,
he lost his license for that.
Yeah, I know it was messed up, but I think that was crazy. And like I guess this was kind of one of my just like messed up thoughts. But it would be really interesting if they had like just a place dedicated to just these just like crazy just social experiments. I'll just stop.
They did. They were called concentration camps.
Yeah, actually, though.
Okay, yeah. So I guess that wraps back to the Nazism. So.
No, yeah. If you just stop thinking of other people as people, it becomes really easy to just do a bunch of unethical shit on them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of like the IRB?
No.
It's I forget what it stands for. It might be International Research Board, and it's like this organization that
deems if something's like
ethical
right,
yeah, and there's a lot of protocol that involves, and it's a lot of like diagrams you have to walk through. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it's sometimes it's a gray area, sometimes it's not, but they make sure everything's ethical, and they do it based on like all the past like awful psychological experiments that have been done.
But I do actually always find it really interesting when you hear about like the Stanley Milgram experiment, and which is the one where they had people shock, like they thought they were killing someone. Basically, they just like but that's not what was actually happening. There was an actor, and then like the Stanford prison experiment, and I always find it crazy like how because the human mind is so crazy, but also you just find out how like easily manipulated it can be.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the bittersweet takeaway from these awful experiments is you learn so much about humans, but the thing is you should not be testing humans that way.
Yeah, but like how else do you find it out?
Yeah, so it's a very I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like Thanos in a way. Did you guys see Infinity War?
I didn't.
I actually haven't, but you can spoil it. It's fine. It's been long enough.
I don't know, man.
Talking to a bunch of narcs.
And the thing is, what's so funny is like I just hear people talking about like, oh, I'm trying to stay away from literally everything until I watch this movie. Mm-hmm. I have not changed my pattern or my behavior whatsoever, and I still don't. Nothing has been spoiled for me.
The internet did a pretty nice job.
There was something. I don't know, that meme with the,
I don't
like,
feel so good, and they disappear.
Yeah. Well, I guess that maybe that was spoiled.
But I don't know who that is.
Oh, I just recently found out who that is.
I was gonna say I only have like I've had like 2 things spoiled. I've also changed nothing about my pattern. And like the things that were spoiled were I clicked on like a YouTube video about Infinity War. And like of course there were spoilers.
Yeah.
And then the spoilers popped up and I was like, you know what, I might actually watch this movie, and I turned it off. But like it's like, yeah, of course. So no, it's actually, it's amazing how good people have been about not spoiling it. I don't even know why.
Yeah, the internet has been very nice.
I feel like it's been long enough. Like,
well, yeah, but
if I open
embargo
Twitter,
is
I should
definitely
see
done.
nothing but like a list of people that are like killed in the movie and how it ended. Like,
yeah, I like saw it like last week with my parents, and people were like, "That's still in the theaters."
yeah, no,
dude, they're gonna keep that in, and that thing is just printing money for Disney.
It made so much. I mean,
it's wild. Disney owns like everything. I didn't know that.
I read like a number. It was like the number of box office like #1 movies or whatever that like the last year or whatever, like the top 10 grossing movies, and like 8 of them were Disney.
That's insane.
Well, yeah,
they have like a monopoly on film right now.
The fact that they have Marvel, but then on top of that, Star Wars.
Yeah, like Lucasfilm.
And then fucking all the children's films, right?
Yeah, like Disney on top of that.
Oh man,
what do they have? They have Pixar.
Oh no, Pixar I think is their own company now, but.
Oh, okay.
But Disney Animation does movies too, and they always do well because animated films are, people love that.
Yeah,
and they do them right too.
They do a good job. Disney has and it's not like most of the Marvel movies are good. The Star Wars movies have all been pretty good. Like, it's not like they're terrible.
Did you see the Han Solo movie?
No, I have not. I don't want to watch it. I don't. It's not one that I'm interested in at all. I think people are just
Star Wars out.
I don't know about that. I think people just.
No.
I think the hardcore Star Wars fans didn't like The Last Jedi for some reason.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was actually my favorite.
There's a big plot hole in the middle of it, but I liked it.
They
should have killed off Leia
I agree. And it's made doubly awkward by the fact we know Carrie Fisher's dead.
Yeah.
It's like you're like waiting, and there's like 3 like fake out deaths, and it like I know they did it before she died, but it feels like it's in really bad taste.
Yeah.
She didn't die in the movie, did she?
No, she didn't. Her role wasn't that pivotal to the movie.
It's pretty.
The end, so they totally could have killed her off at that point.
Yeah, they could have killed her off. Like they could have had her be the one who was controlling the ship when it light speed. Oh, spoilers, I guess, for the last.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
But
I think that's what we'll call the spoiler alert.
Let's just change the podcast name. Right. You and John, Nick and John with spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's the branch off podcast. Once we hear all about your Me Too movement, all your allegations.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I would be
dark.
Holy shit! I don't think I would ever do that.
No.
I'm too good a person, man.
I'm just so great.
I'm just the perfect
okay, I'm not so great. I'm not a rapist. Like, I'm a bad person, but like, there's a line, and I don't think I'd cross that one. I like to think maybe like the second we hit like 200 views, and
that's when it just all goes to your head.
All bets are off. I've never been this famous. I don't.
Let me call Bill Cosby. See what he did. Sorry, man.
But yeah, I think that's it for the night.
Yeah, I agree.
So, John, do you have anything you want to say? Any Instagrams to plug?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram is Zuddy_Joan.
How do you spell that?
ZUDDY_JONE. And I post a lot of skateboarding on there, so you're welcome to follow if you're into that. But sometimes I post about comedy events that are coming up and stuff. And usually there are links to my sets online in my bio and stuff. So feel free to follow.
And plug your YouTube again, like the YouTube channel or whatever. What I can Google to find your sets.
If you just type in John Hedrick, Milk Boy, Art House. You'll find 2 sets at that point. And then, so I don't even know the name of my YouTube channel. Well, I think I changed it. It used to be JMNE Skater, which was my middle school YouTube. And then I changed it to Joni. So I don't know what it is. Yeah, look, if you type in Dead Crow. Okay, yeah, so it's just Joni now. So that's just Jony.
You gotta get your branding.
Yeah, you gotta.
When we talk about stage names, you weren't supposed to have those. So
okay, I changed it to Joni like a year ago.
There's like 15 listeners here, and you're failing at plugin, man.
I know, I'm doing an awful job.
And do you have any? Where do you do your shows? If like, what's the club you're a big part of?
Yeah, so most of our shows are going to be done at Milk Boy Art House.
In College Park.
In College Park, and it's right on Route 1. But I think our next big show is going to be at the Clarice, which is a theater on campus in College Park. And it's going to be a free show, and it seats like 600 people, and we're trying to bring in someone big. And
you gonna name drop it?
No, I'm not going to name drop just yet, but keep an ear out for that, and that'll be a super exciting show. Be super fun. Again, free. Feel free to come by. It'll be funny.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, John.
Dude,
hopefully
thank you for having me. This was a blast.
So hopefully you'll be our first repeat guest.
All right, for episode 3.
Episode 3. Watch out.
Yeah, well, oh man.
Oh boy.
If we have an episode 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
who knows?
maybe,
I mean, we've already doubled our record.
Yeah, I think we should just take another year off, and then next time we'll do four.
Next
four
time
podcasts
we'll
with
definitely
a new
stick
name.
with it. Yeah.
There you go.
But all right, yeah, that's the BWG podcast. You can find us on the YouTube channel you're watching this on, and what's the Twitter? What's the Twitter, Nick?
I didn't make a Twitter, but I think it's just
it'll be linked in the bio if we ever have
in the
one.
Description
all
if
right.
we have a Twitter.
Great.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, and leave a comment. And actually, it doesn't even matter. You can dislike. It doesn't matter for YouTube metrics. They both actually boost your thing no matter what.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and that's a little precursor to what a future topic will be with another guest.
With another guest.
All right, yeah.
Watch out.
So now we're basically constructing a story. That's foreshadowing. But anyway, yeah, I'm Steven.
I'm Nick.
Yeah, I'm John. Joni.
And this is our podcast. Thanks for listening.
Right, yeah, woohoo.